I'm not just gonna talk about a product once and never mention it again. Every single new product I try gets put in front of me in my speed reviews drawer, and it stays in that drawer until I have tested it thoroughly with other products, multiple days, multiple wear tests, multiple techniques, and I'm ready to give you my final thoughts. So today I have 34 items that I am finally ready to give you my thoughts on. I haven't done a speed reviews in almost a month, not quite, but almost a month, so we were definitely overdue. This part we have very blush heavy reviews, like a ton honestly, but we have a lot of complexion in this portion. Yeah, lots of good stuff and also lots of bad stuff that has disappointed me. So if you're new here, this is one of my favorite series that I do because I just think it is so helpful, and if I were a viewer, this is the series that I would come back to watch to get final thoughts from someone who's actually been testing these products. So let's get into it. Now, if you are a regular viewer of mine, of course you've seen me talk about these. A lot of these I've been talking about in multiple videos. So yeah, these are pretty thoroughly tested. So first I have two foundations. The first one is from NARS. This is their new Natural Matte Longwear Foundation. Now I do have dry skin, so keep that in mind, but I do not recommend this if you have dry skin. I can make this work for me. Less is more when it comes to this product. Having the proper prep for my skin as well will make this product wearable, but there's a fine line between this of being matte and cakey. Okay, it bridges from matte to cakey very, very quickly if I apply just a little bit too much, if I pair it with the wrong product. So this is definitely a foundation that I recommend more for oily skin types. I don't have an oily skin, pretty finish. It just looks heavy on my skin and has a tendency to emphasize dryness. I don't know, this is $55 and there are matte foundations that do work for my dry skin. I would recommend spending $55 on a different foundation, but yeah, this one just was not for me. Now, this next foundation is quite the opposite, and I like this. I do have some mixed opinions, but overall, the Bare Minerals Complexion Rescue Luminous Skin Tint Stick, it's exactly as the name is. It's luminous and it's a skin tint in stick form. This is actually one of the easiest to blend out, the quickest to blend out skin tints I've ever come across. I also find it to be extremely luminous, like very, very beautiful luminosity. Makes the skin look so healthy, so refreshed. Like I said, I just love blending it out because it's so simple. Wear time on this is not great, and again, this kind of bridges between luminous but also sweaty. So this I would not wear for a full day, but this I have been grabbing for a lot just for quickie little errands when I want my skin to look really fresh. So it actually has found a purpose in my routine, and I've been reaching for it a lot, not just to review it, but because I've been enjoying it. But I don't wear this on a day that I know I'm going to be out and about, or I'm gonna get really sweaty, because this will make me look even sweatier. But to look really fresh, put together, and to have it blend super easily, I really have been loving this. I definitely recommend it. I think it's awesome. Concealer, I've talked about this nonstop. Ever since I tried it, I've been in love with this $6 concealer. This is the new Essence Silky Blur Hydrating Longwear Concealer. It reminds me a lot of the Hourglass Concealer, except I like this better than the Hourglass Concealer. It's not a super long wear concealer, but it wears just enough. Like, it's fine, especially if you set it with a good powder, but it's very thick, very creamy, has a really silky blend onto the skin, fills in the hollowness, and the finish is quite velvety, so it looks really smooth. I have been extremely impressed by this. Think Westman Atelier, think Natasha Denona, think Hourglass. This gives luxury concealer, and it's $6. Literally WTF. I do try a lot of drugstore makeup, but I, at my core, prefer high-end luxury makeup, and this is better than like 90% of the high-end concealers I've tried, seriously. Also, I do want to give an update about this because my opinions on this have shifted a little bit. Normally with my first impressions, I'm pretty good at judging a product on first use just because this is what I do day in and day out. But when I first tried the CoverGirl True Blend Sun and Sculpt Bronzing Glow Serum, I paired it with the Estee Lauder Double Wear, and the Double Wear sucked the life out of this product and made it completely unblendable. Now, this is supposed to be a dupe for the Makeup by Mario. I think the Makeup by Mario is a little bit more sheer, a little bit more thin and serum-y, and melts in a little bit easier than this. This one definitely is a little bit thicker. Now, this has a cool packaging where you have the pump, you also have the wand, and just know it's better than I thought it was. It was just the Estee Lauder concealer that made it difficult to blend. But I still do prefer the Makeup by Mario because this still does dry down pretty quickly. But now that I know what to look for, I've had very successful applications for this. So I now like it. I don't necessarily recommend it, but I like it a lot more than when I originally tried it. So this is when my speed reviews are super helpful because I can let you know after testing this more, it's been working just fine for me. The other cream bronzer slash liquid bronzer, it's a cream, that I've been trying, oh, it's so good. I actually feel as though I have not talked enough about this. So I'm happy to mention the new Summer Fridays Bronzer Butter Balms. I love this bronzer. It really does blend in like butter. It is a balm, but it's not tacky. It's just got such a seamless blend into the skin. It makes the skin look really hydrated. It doesn't emphasize any weird fine lines that I've noticed sometimes with bronzers because it doesn't have any metallicness in there. It just looks healthy on the skin and I can't get over it. Even though it is balmy, I feel like it almost dries down like a powder and it just melts into the skin. I've been loving the shade Sand on myself, and then if I want to be like a little bit more golden, then I'll go in with Dune, but Sand has been my everyday. If you prefer a bronzer in a form that's like in a pan, this is really, really lovely. I think it's beautiful. It especially pairs really well with skin tints. I feel like I'm talking too much and my reviews are not being very speedy, so we're gonna speed this up, especially when we get towards the blushes, because I have talked about these blushes, like I even have more to talk about them. But first, okay, I have some setting powders before we get into blush territory. I'll do this one first because I apply this before the setting powders. We'll also talk about the setting powders, but these are the Patrick Ta Liquid Transitioning Brightening Blushes. I've been talking about these a lot, so these are just an unnecessary step. So if you look at Patrick Ta has this whole system that's hella steps, like hella steps. And this is basically supposed to bridge your liquid and cream blush all the way up to the concealer. So it's supposed to create that transition from blush, then you add the transition blush, then it goes up to the concealer. It's basically either a sheer color corrector or a sheer liquid blush. It's kind of a hybrid between those. And I've done a video on TikTok or in short form demoing this, but you can get this effect by just mixing this with your concealer if you really did want to do the step to give it a nice transition, because it does work. I don't know that it's necessary or impactful enough, but of this whole system, this is absolutely the most unnecessary thing. So I don't care for it. Setting powder. First, we have this one from CoverGirl. This is a True Blend Skin Enhancer Baked Luminous Finishing Powder, supposed to be a dupe for the Hourglass. I find it to sit a little bit more on top of the skin than the Hourglass, and it has a little bit more pigment. And actually, you might prefer this over the Hourglass. Personally, I love the Hourglass. I think that this is not a dupe for it. I think it's a good alternative. The Hourglass just gives this blurred filter to the skin that this doesn't give, but that doesn't mean this isn't good. This does oxidize slightly, so buy a shade lighter than you think you would need, but it is limited in shades, so that may be a con. But it is a nice baked luminous powder. It sets your makeup without taking too much of the glow away. It adds a little bit more pigment than the Hourglass. I think this is lovely. I really, really do like it. Does it replace my Hourglass powder? No, but I think this is really, really nice from the drugstore. Just it oxidizing is that one thing where you gotta be careful with which shade you pick up. Also have been testing the Natasha Denona High Glam Setting Powder. Now, I probably didn't test this as much as I would have liked to, but honestly, I just don't like the way that this makes my skin look. This is for oily skin people. It really, really is. For me, it just makes my makeup look pretty dry. Now, it does work. It did make my face waterproof, but it kind of acts as a barrier between like outside elements of liquid, which would be rain. Like if it was a rainy day, I would put this on. It is waterproof, but when you have your oils coming through from underneath, I think it does a good job sucking up the oils, but it's not like the demos, okay? Water isn't coming out of your face, like sweats and oils that are, but really do recommend this for oily skin. I don't like how this applies. You almost need to push it. You have to put extra effort to push this into the skin because it kind of rolls on the skin, which I don't like. But overall, for my dry skin, this hasn't been it. However, it does hold a place because if it were raining, I would use that. And then last powder product is from Patrick Ta, and it's to go with that liquid transitioning blush. There's the blurring blush duo, the transition blurring blush duos. I really love these. I can't believe how much I love these, and I don't even really love them for the aspect of transition blush. I just really like the formula of this because it's super blurring on the under eyes. It makes my concealer last so much longer. Now, I do set with translucent powder and then I go over this over top, and I swear it's like a filter for the under eyes. So I have been doing transition blush, not really on purpose, but because I like the way that this makes my under eyes look. It's super duper smooth. Now, I've been wearing my makeup now for 6 hours almost. I was out in a rainstorm, actually. So I had to redo my hair before filming this and everything since putting this on this morning, but I love the way this makes my under eyes look, and I would love these in skin tone colors. The transition blush aspect of it, it's fine. I mean, it does the job, but you can use other products, but I just love the formula so much. And you guys have been telling me I look good with transition blush, so I've been having fun with it. Now, the last section of today, we're gonna talk about blushes, and basically all of the blushes that I'm talking about today, I did full in-depth reviews, swatches, rankings. Like this is that video of trying the new viral blushes. So I'm gonna really be super speedy, and this is probably gonna be like so fast, but I'm not re-swatching all of these, and I'm gonna go super fast because I literally already have a video for this. So I will link it down below, check it out. So let's be quick. Let's talk liquid blush. The 2 new shades of the Huda Beauty Blush Filter from her Strawberry Latte collection. These are cute colors. This formula is so average. Like, it works fine. I don't have anything bad to say about them, but they are a forgettable formula. I have a lot of other liquid blushes that I prefer, but the colors are very cute. I do really like the Strawberry Latte color, but the formula isn't anything to write home about. However, what is memorable and is to write home about are the Pixie Beauty Liquid Glows. These are delicious and plump and glowy on the cheeks. This is my favorite product I think that Pixie Beauty has ever come out with. It's also my favorite new blush launch. Not to be dramatic, but it 1000% is. I highly recommend the shade Peony. That one is my favorite blush color. They also have some highlight colors, but these are liquid serum blushes, but they don't act funny on the skin. They are incredible. ColourPop also reformulated, added a bunch of new shades of their blush sticks line, and I do think these are miles better than their original. Their original really wasn't anything memorable. Now I might like the new formula much more. First of all, the range is crazy. Like so many different shades. Now these, I feel like they're supposed to be more glowy, which they definitely are, but they also are a lot easier to apply. They have much more of a slick blend onto the cheeks, so I've been enjoying these a lot more. They do add a really plump look. However, I don't recommend this formula for oily skin because it's quite slippery on the skin, and these are not the longest wearing, and I have dry skin, so if I notice that something's not long wearing, it's a big deal. That said, the colors are so awesome and it's so quick and easy to apply. I really have been enjoying them. I just have to take precautions by like setting the powder over top in order to make the blush last longer. I also tried, these are only $6 from Essence, the Soft Touch Bouncy Blushes. I also previously reviewed the bronzers from this line and the highlights. So good. No different with the blushes either. So these are like a bouncy putty consistency. They give that K-Beauty really blurred effect on the cheek. Really gorgeous, really easy to apply. You can build up pigment with these. I demoed 2 different shades today of these. They are so lovely. If you have a lot of texture on the cheek, if you aren't wearing anything too glowy, these are nice and matte, and they kind of conform with whatever base you have underneath. I mean, $6, you can't beat it. Another hit at the drugstore are the Catrice Velvet Pudding Blurring Blushes. I think Fui, they're a little bit creamier than the Fui blurring blushes, but these are really nice. I would say I think I prefer the Essence. I kind of go back and forth, but these are also that really airy, matte, blurry, bouncy K-Beauty kind of formula. So if you like that vibe, you will like these as well. Those both are great. I think the Catrice leans a little bit more creamy. The Essence is more true putty powder consistency. These were such a shock. Honestly, every time I use these, I fall even more in love with these. Jones Road, I haven't really heard anybody talking about their blushing sticks, but these are a phenomenal balmy blush. I do not love a balm blush. These are very pigmented. They're buildable up to a high pigment level, and they make the cheeks look super dewy and juicy, and I wouldn't pair these with a matte foundation at all. It would look odd, but if you are wearing a glowy foundation, I have loved reaching for these, and these actually look gorgeous on the lips as well. If you've noticed some lip and cheek sticks, they look dry on the lips, they kind of sit on top of the lips. Not these. These melt in like they were meant to be for the lips. So a true lip and cheek formulation, absolutely incredible if you love that dewy, juicy balm kind of consistency, and I normally don't, and these are really good. The packaging is stupid though, with the magnets. They repel one another, and the only way that they don't is if they're on different levels. It's how magnets work, but very annoying. And then powder blushes, you saw Milani, this was months ago. They reformulated their baked blush line, and I did recently get my hands on the rest of the collection, so I'm throwing these in. I do notice some inconsistencies in the shades where some are kind of glittery, some are not, but overall I think these are a beautiful blush formula. The way that I would recommend to apply these is to get a brush that's not very dense. Let me find a good one for an example. Okay, so think BK Beauty, Nikki LaRose, and 20. This is one of the best powder blush brushes because it barely picks up any, so you can get the lightest layer. Look at that. And it adds the prettiest glow. So a brush like this, if not, get this. I love these blushes. I don't love them almost like with too dense of a brush because I think they're a little too glowy and can emphasize texture, but with something like this, the glaze of that color is unreal. And then MAC also, I think they are phasing out their powder blush line. They're phasing out a lot and adding in, reformulating a lot. So they came out with their Color Struck Skin Finish blushes. I mean, these are fabulous. They aren't anything like to write home about formulation-wise, but they are like a solid matte blush formula with really nice range of colors. So I can't really say anything spectacular about these. They just work really well and they last a really long time also. So I've just been enjoying these for the color range, for the colors that they offer, easy application. They do have some radiant finish and some matte, but also lovely. And then I've talked about this one a lot. I'm not a fan of the blush filter palette from Huda Beauty. This is from their new Strawberry Latte collection, which is better fitted towards medium and deep complexions, but I finally, after giving this one a try and the other shades in this range, have decided I just don't like this formula. They're not very easy to blend out, and I do go in knowing that with this formula, so I can make it work. It's not an issue, but I don't want to have to, you know. If I have to make it work, then I need to mention that to you, and it does take some work, so harder to blend. But I am breaking this into 2 parts, you guys. So the next part's gonna be all of the new eyes and lips. I do have a couple more complexion products. I just wanted to break it up even this time. So I'm gonna give you a break. I'm gonna give me a break. I'm I'll give my husband a break. And make sure you subscribe to my channel because the next video will be part 2. I have lots of eyeshadow sticks, lots of glittery shadow sticks, some luxury lip products, just some good stuff to talk about in part 2. So I hope you guys enjoyed this, and if you did, make sure you like this video and subscribe for more. And I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye guys, have a good one.